Beijing has issued a strong diplomatic response after the United Kingdom announced sanctions targeting two Chinese companies accused of involvement in hostile cyber activity against the UK and its allies. The statements came during a regular press briefing at China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Beijing, where Foreign Ministry spokesman Guo Jiakun addressed the allegations and outlined China's position on ongoing tensions with both London and Tokyo. The press conference opened with Guo Jiakun entering the briefing room, addressing reporters on a series of questions related to cybersecurity and regional security developments. His remarks followed the UK's announcement earlier in the day that it had imposed sanctions on Chinese entities it believes were connected to cyber attacks impacting British institutions. Guo reiterated Beijing's long-standing stance on cybersecurity, stating that China rejects accusations of engaging in or supporting hacking operations. In his first set of remarks, Guo said China is committed to abiding by international norms and its own legal framework when addressing cyber incidents. He emphasized China's opposition not only to hacking operations, but also to what it describes as the politicization of cybersecurity issues by foreign governments. Guo stated in Mandarin, China firmly opposes and combats hacking activities in accordance with the law. At the same time, it firmly opposes the spreading of false information for political purposes. China expresses strong dissatisfaction and firm opposition to the UK's practice of using cybersecurity issues for political manipulation. China has already lodged stern representations with the UK in Beijing and London. The sanctions issued by Britain were announced as part of its broader cyber defense measures, which London says are designed to safeguard critical infrastructure and government systems from interference. British officials have stated that the targeted companies are linked to cyber operations allegedly conducted against the UK and several partner nations. These sanctions include restrictions designed to disrupt the firm's commercial activities and limit their access to UK markets. Beijing, however, disputes the credibility of these allegations. During the briefing, Guo accused the United Kingdom of amplifying unverified claims for political gain. He described the British move as an attempt to frame China as a threat in the digital domain without presenting concrete evidence. In his second statement, Guo emphasized that cybersecurity challenges require international cooperation rather than confrontation. He urged the UK government to reconsider its approach, saying China remains prepared to engage constructively on global cyber governance. Guo stated, "Cybersecurity is a global common challenge. We urge the UK to immediately correct its wrongdoings, abandon double standards and politicized schemes, and work with China in a truly responsible and constructive manner to jointly maintain peace, stability, and prosperity in cyberspace." Cybersecurity has become a rapidly escalating area of geopolitical friction, with multiple governments accusing state-aligned groups of breaching networks and extracting sensitive data. China has repeatedly denied such claims, arguing that it is frequently the target, not the origin, of cyber intrusions. The UK's latest measures are part of a pattern of actions taken in coordination with allies, including the United States and European partners, who have also expressed concerns about cyber activity linked to actors operating from Chinese territory. Following the discussion on the UK sanctions, the briefing shifted to rising tensions between China and Japan. The two countries have been engaged in a dispute over an incident in which Japanese aircraft accused Chinese fighter jets of locking radar on them during a Chinese training exercise. Tokyo lodged a formal protest, saying the action was unsafe and escalatory. Guo disputed Japan's version of events and accused Tokyo of misrepresenting the circumstances surrounding the incident. The spokesman argued that Japan had prior knowledge of China's training activity, but nevertheless sent fighter jets into the area, creating a confrontation. Addressing this issue, Guo said, "The Japanese side previously claimed that it had not received notification from the Chinese side, but now admits that it had received information from the Chinese in advance. This is inconsistent and evasive." The Japanese side also refused to explain why, after receiving prior notice, it insisted on sending fighter jets to intrude into the Chinese training area without authorization, conduct close-range reconnaissance and harassment, create tense situations, and continue to maliciously hype up the situation. Japanese officials have maintained that their aircraft operated in international airspace and were conducting lawful missions. Tokyo has also said that radar locking is considered a dangerous act in military aviation and can significantly increase the risk of miscalculation. The Japanese government lodged a diplomatic protest following the incident, describing China's conduct as unacceptable. Beijing, however, alleges that Japan's actions were intended to create tension and then portray China as the aggressor. Guo said Japan's shift in claims regarding prior notification demonstrates inconsistency and misrepresentation. According to Chinese officials, the area in question was part of a routine and publicly announced training mission conducted by the People's Liberation Army. In a follow-up statement, Guo broadened his criticism, questioning whether Japan is attempting to influence international opinion by presenting misleading information. He also linked the incident to broader political disagreements in the region, particularly remarks by Japan's Prime Minister regarding Taiwan. Guo stated, "Is the Japanese side deliberately shifting focus and attempting to mislead the international community? What the Japanese side should do now is to face up to the crux of the current difficulties in China's-Japan relations, earnestly reflect on and correct its mistakes, and honestly withdraw Prime Minister Takaichi's wrong remarks regarding Taiwan." The reference to Taiwan highlights a separate and long-running point of contention between Beijing and Tokyo. China has strongly rejected comments made by Japanese leaders that express support for Taiwan or raise concerns about regional security. Beijing considers such statements interference in its internal affairs and has repeatedly warned Japan to adhere to the framework of bilateral political agreements. Japan, meanwhile, has expressed increasing concern about China's military activities near its airspace and around Taiwan, describing them as destabilizing. The Japanese Ministry of Defense has reported a growing number of scrambles in response to Chinese aircraft approaching its territorial boundaries. These developments mirror broader regional tensions as multiple countries in the Indo-Pacific have voiced unease about China's expanding military operations. During the press briefing, Guo asserted that the responsibility for the radar incident lies with Japan and called for corrective action. China says the key source of friction in the bilateral relationship is what it views as Japanese political statements and military behavior that challenge China's territorial claims. Beyond the specific disputes with the UK and Japan, the briefing also reflected Beijing's wider diplomatic messaging. China continues to frame itself as a proponent of stability, insisting that foreign governments avoid actions that politicize technical issues or amplify regional tensions. Both topics raised during the briefing, cybersecurity and airspace security, are central to China's portrayal of itself as a country responding to external provocations rather than initiating them. The United Kingdom has not yet issued a direct response to China's latest comments, though British officials have said previously that sanctions are based on evidence collected over multiple years of cyber investigations. The UK government maintains that foreign cyber operations have targeted national institutions, businesses, and democratic systems, and that defensive measures are necessary to deter future incidents. Japan has also reiterated its position that the radar incident posed a risk to flight safety and that it will continue to monitor Chinese military activities closely. Tokyo has stated that it will defend its territorial integrity and ensure that its pilots operate safely in accordance with international law. China's statements underscore its position that both cybersecurity allegations and airspace disputes must be addressed through diplomatic channels and factual clarity, not through what it describes as politically motivated accusations. Throughout the press conference, Guo Jiakun emphasized that China had formally protested the UK's actions, submitting what he described as stern representations in both Beijing and London. The spokesman also reiterated that China expects Japan to modify its political stance and refrain from actions that could escalate tensions. With discussions ongoing in diplomatic and defense circles, the developments highlight the complexity of China's relationships with major global partners. Cybersecurity remains a contentious field given its implications for national security, economic stability, and technological competition. Likewise, China's interactions with Japan continue to be shaped by long-standing territorial disputes, regional defense strategies, and political communication surrounding Taiwan. As of today, both situations are unresolved. The UK sanctions remain in effect, and Beijing's objections have not altered London's position. Meanwhile, Japan continues to assert that China's actions were provocative, while China maintains that Japan entered a designated training zone despite being informed in advance. The statements issued in Beijing reflect China's effort to articulate its perspective on both matters while signaling that further diplomatic communication will be required to address the disputes. The situation now stands with China rejecting the UK's cyber accusations, disputing Japan's account of the radar incident, and urging both countries to correct what it considers politically motivated actions.